welcome to my BookTube. So I kind of wanted to start doing longer form content, and so I thought the first video I would put on this channel that you're seeing, if you're watching, thank you so much, is an introduction to me. I have been doing book talk for about a year. I started in 2024, and over the year I've been pretty consistent. But definitely not as consistent as I would like to be. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that I like to gab. And a lot of videos on TikTok don't do well if it's not like a story driven, like story time. Like I'm sitting down and telling you about, like, my great Aunt Bertha. I don't know. Just like crazy stuff like that. Like people are going to sit through those stories. They're going to be like, how many parts? 50,000? I'll watch them right now, But if you're just sitting in your kitchen gabbing about a book, some people are going to be like, nope, next one, type of thing. And I get that. I totally get that. So I really want to try to make a BookTube because I like to gab about books. And there's a lot of series that I read last year that I didn't talk about on my TikTok. I mentioned them briefly, maybe like in a haul video or like in passing, being like, oh yeah, I love that series. Like it did so well in my brain, but I don't know. Also, I'm so sorry if I keep looking around anywhere but the camera. I'm used to streaming, which usually you look at a chat or something like that. I'm not used to like just staring at the camera. So I'm sorry. Hopefully I'll get better with the more videos I'm hopefully going to film for BookTube, but bear with me. But oh goodness, I don't know how to do this. How do I introduce myself? I never made an introduction video on Book Talk. So I guess I could just tell you how I started on Book Talk. So basically, I was a consumer of Book Talk for a long time. And in 2024, I was tired of buying books but not reading them. I was probably reading between like 1 and 5 books a year prior to that. As a kid, I devoured books, but as a young adult, I was like, one book here, one book there. But I was still buying books. But I was not reading. And in about 2016, I picked up this series. It goes by Elemental Mysteries. It's by Elizabeth Hunter, and the first book in the series is called A Hidden Fire. And that book series started my love of paranormal romance. And it holds a very special place in my heart. Very special place. And I've never really talked about it on my TikTok just because I never had the physical books. I got gifted them this past Christmas, and I about cried when I got them because I love them. They are something that started my love of a genre that I didn't realize that I would ever have, because when I was growing up, Twilight obviously was a huge thing. Harry Potter was a huge thing. I loved Harry Potter, obviously. It's in the background. But, a lot of people were like, Twilight, paranormal romance, this or whatever. And I was more like, give me that dystopian goodness. Like I was Hunger Games. I was Divergent. I was, like the zombie dystopian books that were, I think the first one's called like Gone. I can't remember. But there's like a ton of dystopian books. Like I grew up in the 2010s, I graduated high school in like 2012. So, it was just dystopian, apocalyptic zombies, and that's what I grew up with. I also grew up in a household that my dad is a huge Stephen King fan. So obviously I grew up reading Stephen King, everything besides the It, because I can't do clowns. Like, me and clowns don't get along. We don't get along. Whatever the phobia of clowns is, I definitely have that. I cannot deal with clowns. I can't do it. To cut that story short, I grew up with the love of Stephen King, and obviously pushing me more towards, like, obviously the dystopian stuff and horror genres and things like that. So working our way back around to 2016, because of those books, I ended up starting to read more. So it was between like 1 and 5 books, 2017, 18, and so on until 2024. And on Book Talk, everyone was talking at that time, at least at the beginning of 2024, about the Shepherd King duology. The first book being One Dark Window. And I really, really enjoyed all the videos I was seeing. Like, all the videos I was seeing about those books and the duology, I was like, oh my god. And I already owned it. Like, the duology was sitting on my shelf. I bought the second book day one it came out, you know, but I hadn't read the first one. And I was kind of annoyed at myself. So I started my book talk January 2024. Like, I already had the account, but I started posting January 2024. And let me tell you, I only did it to hold myself accountable. And in my first year, I've gotten to almost 500 followers. I'm really proud of that. I share my love of books on there, a lot of gabbing. I don't do as many reviews as I used to do in the very beginning, because those videos actually do the worst for me. When I'm just gabbing about a book, sometimes those videos actually do much better. I don't break more than 500 views usually, unless I post a video of my puppy, which I totally understand. She's adorable. But I think, you know, my little niche was just talking about books. I definitely wasn't as consistent as I should be. But yeah, I wanted to kind of take the opportunity with the TikTok ban situation and things like that, just to kind of force myself into the longer content creation, because I do have so many books I want to talk about, especially from 2024, that I did not talk about because I was like, I can't shorten how I'm going to talk about these books because I need to describe them more. So I'm hoping with this channel that I'm going to make some books on some series that I've already read and not been able to showcase on my book talk. Maybe do some rereads of certain series to see if they still hold up and, you know, still love them as much. And I want to do also, the biggest thing I want to do on my channel, honestly, this year on BookTube is the fact that I have made myself a goal of 24 books this year. Last year's was 50, and I did reach that 50 goal, but this year's only 24, and you're probably thinking, why would you make such a smaller goal? And that's because this year is deemed the year of the Cosmere for me, because I want to read the Cosmere in its entirety as it is right now, especially with the fact that the last Stormlight Archive book just came out. So I'm currently actually reading Mistborn. I'm about 110 pages into it, because I'm starting with a reading order where you read Mistborn Era 1 first, and then there's going to be a couple novellas that go through, and then I'm going to start the Stormlight Archive, and then obviously with the solo projects and the novellas that are going to be there going into Mistborn Era 2, and then the final book of Stormlight Archive, and then any solo projects or whatever. I have a whole list of the reading order, and I've compared it to like 4 or 5 different people's reading order of the Cosmere, and I've decided to go with the one that I think will be the most enjoyable, so I'm very excited. And so this is the year of the Cosmere, because I've neglected in 2024, I've definitely neglected fantasies and like sci-fis and things like that. So this year, even though my main goal is the Cosmere, I plan on also trying to knock out a lot of other books that are fantasy, and a lot of other, well, I'm hopefully gonna try some sci-fi, because usually sci-fi does turn me away from reading it half the time. I don't know why. It is one of the genres that I do struggle with the most, but I know there's so many great works out there, and I want to read them so badly. So I'm hopefully going to read a bunch of those. Like the Sun Eater series, I really want to read that. Fantasy, going back to fantasy, I want to read The Realm of the Elderling. I want to read the Wheel of Time series. Like, there's so many series that I want to read. But this is definitely the year of the Cosmere, and I want to document that journey, whether it's going to be a video where I'm just talking about whatever book I'm on, and then obviously surmising things and chatting and seeing what you guys have to say about stuff, especially with possibly going live with reading the ends of certain books or whatever have yous. I don't know. I really want BookTube to be something fun for me, and hopefully grow an engaging community that we can share books and, you know, our love for books and obviously recommendations and things like that. I would love to grow a community, you know, with that, because I do truly love books so much. And getting back into reading the past year, like, has helped me a lot, because I feel like I was pretty lost with what I wanted to do in life, in a sense of like a hobby, because I have gaming. I've been streaming on Twitch for a while, not being consistent in that either. So definitely this is the year of consistency as well. But I don't even know what style of videos I'm going to end up doing. I'm sure this is kind of more the style that I'll be. Hopefully maybe something a little bit more produced. I don't know. I've always kind of loved the lower quality produced things, but maybe that's just the like millennial in me, I guess. I think that's the years I follow. I believe I'm a millennial. I don't know. I'm 30, about to be 31. That's millennial, right? That's millennial. But I don't know. I love high produced videos. I just don't know if I have that in me. So I don't know. I've my cozy low quality vibes. I don't know if anybody wants to watch that. And on top of that, I know I've said and like and I don't know about 15 times. I do apologize. I'm used to streaming, and streaming obviously like you're talking about games and like talking with the chat, and you're just like bouncing off of that. You're not just staring at a camera being like, I like books, I'm gonna read them, maybe you like to hear me talk about them. That's pretty much all I'm trying to say 15 years later. And I just want to end off with asking you guys a question, and that is, what are you currently reading? I said earlier that I'm currently reading Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, but I'm also currently reading Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I'm loving every second of it. I'm about 145 pages into it, and it's so good. I plan on doing an update video on that on my TikTok, which is the same handle, so Nightshade Reads on TikTok, if you would like to also follow me there. I don't do daily updates, but maybe, I don't know. I think I do maybe like every couple days. I think it's every couple days. Sometimes it's daily, but that's probably a better place to keep up with me if you want more updates that way. But I'm gonna at least try maybe like every week to try to get a BookTube video out. But I just want to thank you all so much if you made it this far in the video, and I hope you all have a wonderful time reading, and I hope to see your guys' faces again, and hopefully the next video will be a fun video of me talking about one of my favorite series of all time. We'll see. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good one.